Okay, I'm going to start with some recommendations for some possible Christmas gifts if you happen to need any. If you don't, you can just skip this entire video. My sister Dee out in Oregon had a bunch of my late mom's and dad's, my dad's military paraphernalia and a bunch of old pictures. I came across this. Pretty cute little fella, but I don't know whatever happened after that, but it's kind of interesting anyhow to see the before and after, I guess. I don't know. So, first of all, if you have some young folks in your family who are musicians, one of the things that I have subscribed to since I started recording and I took vocal performance lessons in college was that you have to record yourself because you have to hear what the audience hears so you can make adjustments in your voice and your presentation or your playing to get a feel for what everybody else hears. So, and one of the ways you do that is you have to record yourself. And the old reel-to-reel days, I had an old reel-to-reel Pioneer RT-707. And then in the 80s, I switched that out and I went to one of the very first digital audio tape recorders, which is a Sony DTC 690. I still have it. And I've used that to record a lot of FM radio broadcasts of performances off of PBS, which is our NPR affiliate is WABE here in Atlanta, and they've also simulcast a lot of performances out of WFMT in Chicago. So to help some young people, I'm going to show you, this is a little Tascam recorder. This is a DR07. It's a stereo recorder. It's got two built-in microphones on the top. You can actually buy a microphone. It's got an 8-inch stand adapter that you can put in front of the performer, and it'll record CD Red Book, which is 1644.1, or you can actually go up to 24-bit 96 kilohertz, which is at least the lowest I will do anymore. It's very easy to use. It's got a lock button on the side. You power it up. And maybe the batteries are bad. But anyhow, there's a record button here. And you can record either with these two microphones on a stand, or you can buy the little 1/8-inch stereo cable and buy a little mixing desk with a couple of really good microphones, and it'll sound as good as anything else you can do. This usually sells for about $109. It's a great tool for a budding musician. The step up from that is this is the Tascam DR40. The new model is the 40X. It sells for about $179, I think on Amazon. What I do like about this is it's got two microphones built on the top, but they're flexible, so you can use it in the XY normal pair if you're doing a solo work, or you can move them outside. And this is an ORTF pattern, the Office of Radio Telephone France. And this is very good for if you're doing some ensemble work with multiple players, and you'll catch a little bit wider spread. Again, this will do all the way from MP3 quality to Red Book CD quality 1644.1, and it'll also do 2496. It's also on the bottom, it's got balanced end connectors. You can actually connect a real nice pair of condenser microphones using A3M and A3F cables. And it's got phantom power built in. So if you really want to up your game and get a pair of real nice condenser microphones, this will up the recording quality as well. Now both of these have on the side a USB out cable adapter, and you can actually upload the files that you recorded into your computer and play them back in some recording software. So these are both excellent recorders, very affordable. I wish I'd had some of these when I was much younger. Of course, we were very lucky to have transistor radios back then, but anyhow, I also have one other recorder that's my favorite. I use it all the time in my little studio. It's a Tascam DR 680 Mark II, but it's got 6 tracks. I can actually run 6 microphones directly into that to be able to do larger ensemble work with real microphones. It'll do 6 tracks of 2496 and 2 tracks of high resolution 24-bit 192 kilohertz sample frequency. So it's a really, really nice recorder. Excuse me a second. I'll try to save my voice if I can. On the video side, what you might want to do, I have enjoyed this PBS series, Now Hear This, with Scott Yu as the presenter. I've been lucky enough to be able to talk to Scott Yu in person about how much I've enjoyed these recordings. He is also the conductor of the Mexico City Symphony Orchestra. All of these 6 videos that I own, and there's a couple of more after these that I own, are excellently done on DVDs. You could have bought them on Blu-rays, I think, as well. This one is called Beethoven's Ghost. Beethoven wrote a piano trio, and it was called the Beethoven's Ghost. And in this, they used some actors. This gentleman here plays Beethoven himself. And then another fella plays Sigmund Freud, who goes through the effort of trying to psychoanalyze Beethoven, which had to be a real work of art back in that day. But they have great fun with it. And there's some great recordings on how they go about making the recordings themselves. And they talk about what a character Beethoven was and all that he had to go through. So all of these are available on Amazon, at least the first 6. You can also, if you're a subscriber to PBS, you can also watch them off of there. And highly recommend it. I've watched these many times and enjoy the performances as well. So for CDs that I would recommend, this is Mary Chapin Carpenter. And I would recommend just about anything from her. She is not only a great performer, but she is a very, very good storyteller. This here is the #1 selling jazz album of all time. This is Miles Davis' Kinda Blue, recorded in the spring of 1959. And it's just a great, great album, and recorded downtown New York City. In addition to that, I've also been a big fan of Hélène Grimaud. She's a French-born pianist, and just about anything from her is excellent. And of course, Lang Lang is one of the top pianists of the day. He has just done, he's got a two CD set of Bach's Goldberg variations, which are very, very nicely done. Excuse me. Tiffany Poon is a young 20-year-old pianist who's going to make her mark. She's very, very talented, and I followed her career since she was about 14 or 15 on YouTube. And then, of course, there's the incomparable Yuja Wang. And again, she's probably one of the best pianists of the day. And just about anything you buy from her shows you just how talented these young folks are. But they're all very, very good. So on the other front, some other gift ideas might be this 3D box set by Tony Bennett. This middle album, The Art of Excellence, I think is one of Tony's best of all time. Although any of those that he's done with the Ralph Sharon Trio before he passed are excellent as well. But this gives you, I Left My Heart in San Francisco over here. And this is an older album from the 50s that Tony did. But this is a very nice box set, but anything you buy at Tony's is great. And then you probably know Seth MacFarlane from his cartoons that he's done on television, but he is also a very, very talented singer. And he had the great fortune of getting with Nancy Sinatra, and she sold Seth over 100 orchestrations that Frank Sinatra had mocked up that he had never recorded on LP or CD. And so she sold them to Seth, and these are all the beginnings of the work of Seth recording all of them. And I will tell you that the recording of these is absolutely superb. He's a great singer, and all of those orchestrations that Frank did are always great. They were Nelson Riddle and Henry Mancini and a bunch of others, Gordon Jenkins. They're all superb, and you'd enjoy any of those. So in addition to that, this is, if you're big into LPs like I am, I have a couple of nice turntables. My nicest is a new Technics SL 100C, and on it I have an AT Audio-Technica 95 with an ML stylus and a 2-box Vincent Phono stage, and so I still play a ton of vinyl. This is another one that I've recently bought. I think this one is out from about 2020. It's a 2 LP set of hers, and she's going through some health issues now with a pinched nerve, and so she's kind of on the shelf for now, but Hillary Hahn's great. Now this is, you all know Gary Sinise and his work with veterans. Well, his son Mac was a graduate of the UCLA Music School, and a couple of years back he came down with a rare form of cancer and passed away. But prior to doing that, he had written a number of compositions. And so Gary decided that to honor Mac, who had played with the Lieutenant Dan Band, he was going to produce some LPs and resurrect those. And so with Oliver Schnee, who was a classmate of his, Oliver went back through all of them and redid all the orchestrations. And so Gary put them out as 2 double CD sets. I think they were about $79, of which the proceeds again went to the veterans. And you can actually find, Arctic Circles is one of the best songs on these compilations. And you can actually listen to it on YouTube and decide if this is your cup of tea. But I did it more to support Mac and Gary Sinise and the work they do with veterans, since I also served as well. So indispensable for singing. This is called Clear Voice, and without it I'd be in a mess most of the time. So my cousin Mark Mazuraka out in Sugar Grove had sent me this LP set. And at first I wasn't too sure what it was until I got to the back of it and looked at what it said. The Sky Club, downtown Aurora. And inside the Leland Hotel, at the very top floor, was the Sky Club. And unbeknownst to me, my dad, my late father, played the clarinet when he came home from the war. And of course, he contracted polio and was paralyzed from the neck down. But his best friend, Jimmy Murphy, was a great saxophone player. Now, you might not remember that Mike Murphy, his son, was a great quarterback at East High from 63 and 64, I believe. But he was also an exceptional drummer and also played with the Bee Gees. That's how good he was. So Mark sent me this, and this was a 2 LP set of a bunch of old blues that was remade by a bunch of people just outside Chicago. And it's a tribute to the 1937-1938 Bluebird sessions that took place in the Sky Club of the Leland Hotel in downtown Aurora. Who'd have thunk that, huh? If you can find a copy of this, you'll enjoy it. So going back a little bit, I'm always a great buyer of used LPs, and I always like what we call crate diving. And I happened to find this. This is an old mono LP from, I believe it's the 1940s. And these were all LP transcriptions of old radio broadcasts. And it's great fun to listen to. A lot of these were recorded at the Torcadero Club, downtown LA. And back in the 40s and 50s, of course, everybody attended supper clubs. They'd get dressed to the nines and go out and have dinner at a real nice club. And of course, all these clubs either had orchestras with male or female singers, or they would have a trio like this King Cole trio. Unique to Nat King Cole was that his trio never had a drummer. He always had a bass, a guitar player, and then Nat himself, which is pretty cool. And it's great. Bing Crosby is on here introducing Nat on a bunch of tracks. But it's really great fun to go back and listen to some stuff from the 1940s. I also found, crate diving, this set from the Tommy Dorsey Frank Sinatra Orchestra. This is how Frank got his start in New York, singing with Tommy Dorsey. And there's some great tracks in here. And this is the volume 1. I never did find volume 2, but I'll keep on the lookout for it. I also managed to find some old LPs from the 70s of Scott Joplin's piano rags. And they were done by Joshua Rifkin, who's a professor of music up in New England. And it's always fun to go back to listen to some of those old Scott Joplin songs played on a much updated grand piano. Again, you can't forget Frank, and I've got a number of his recordings, probably about 10 of his LPs, which you can still find. Many of them have been remastered, but you can also find some very high quality 5 and 10 disc CD sets of old Sinatra music, and I highly recommend you look at some of those because they're very affordable. Something that your grandparents might really enjoy for Christmas. Now this is an album, Muddy Waters Folk Singer, that a friend of mine, Dr. D, recommended I take a look at. This was recorded in 1963. And Muddy is an old guitar player who sang the blues. And there was no great technology there, but I will tell you, he probably had nothing more than a couple of old Shure 58 or SM57 mics, a reel-to-reel recorder, probably running at the most 7.5 inches per second. I will tell you that the sound of this album, this is one of the best sounding albums I've got in my whole collection. They really recorded this very well, and it sounds like you're in the same room with them. And so if you like old blues, highly recommend Muddy Waters. I think you can even find this on CD if you want it. I'm not sure if it's available on LP anymore, but it's well worth finding. So now something that's a little bit more up to date, because I have a ton of Christmas CDs, but let me find the right one here. This is my favorite Christmas album of all time. I'm a huge Andy Williams fan. This is called Christmas Present. I was also lucky enough to find the CD of this still in print, and I bought it. But the Christmas Present song is very nice, and I was very lucky. I wanted to sing this at church when I was singing at church all the time. And I could never find the sheet music to this or a track to sing to. So I searched and I knew that Larry Brown was the writer of the music for this. And I was able to track him down on the internet, and we had a very, very nice discussion. He actually sent me copies of the lead sheets, the score that Andy sang to, and I actually have the 3 sheets mounted on my wall in my little recording studio to save them for posterity. And my kids can fight over those, but that was very nice of Larry Brown to send me that. These other 2 albums that I have of Andy Williams were the last 2 that he did. And this one, if you can find it, might still find the CD of it. This is all lyrics from Tony Hiller, set to classical piano pieces, played by the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. Andy recorded this when he was in London for I forget what the year this was. But anyhow, Andy was over there because he was a great tennis player, and he went over there for Wimbledon, and he recorded this during that time. This is a great, great album. One of the best sounding albums Andy ever did. The other one, the last one that he did was this one called Close Enough for Love. And unfortunately, on a lot of Andy's earlier albums, for whatever reason, they used the Aphex Oral Exciter. And to me, it kind of gave kind of a clanky sound to Andy's voice. It really messed it up. But these 2 albums are perfect, near perfect. So what other suggestions? Well, I got 2 other suggestions here. Excuse me. If you are a Doobie Brothers fan like I am, along with Steely Dan, this is their latest recording called Walk This Road. This is a great album. The engineering is not so good. I pulled a couple of the files into my my music recording software and looked at the WAV files. It's very compressed and peak limited, but it's still good because it's the Doobie Brothers. Michael McDonald plays on this and wrote some of the tunes. And very good album. And if you like the Doobies, you'll like this one too. So my last recommendation would be anything by this young lady. Eva Cassidy is well known for her Live at Blues Alley recording. She was born in Maryland, and she died very young in her early 30s of ovarian cancer, but she has a stunning voice. So if you can find Live at Blues Alley, I'd urge you to buy it. It sounds great. It was recorded at a bar in downtown Baltimore, but it was very, very well done. So they actually, after Eva passed, they decided that they wanted to remake that. They pulled all of her vocals off the recordings, and then they went ahead and they wrote out orchestrations, the score charts, for the London Symphony Orchestra, exactly how they were played on the songs on Live at Blues Alley. And then they went back and, through the miracle of digital audio, recorded it again with Eva's voice added to the symphony. This is some real magic studio trickery, but you'll enjoy this. I also have this one on CD. The LP sounds almost as good, which tells you how good this CD is, or the LP is. So you'll really enjoy this one, and especially when you're able to read about the studio trickery involved in making all this happen. So I apologize if this is a little bit long. Hope you've managed to find a few things that you might like. There's also some great books. I'm in the middle of reading Senator John Kennedy's book, How Not to Test Positive for Stupid. It's pretty funny because he's quite a character anyway, but it's very good. I also read about 2 books a week, surprisingly, for somebody who didn't necessarily take his studies at East that well, but I did teach math in school here for 11 years. I did use my math degree to some good purpose. So I also read Victor Davis Hanson, Douglas Murray. I have a real nice book on Winston Churchill, which I've really enjoyed. I've also had another one, because I like recording, of the late Al Schmidt, who passed away. He was the lead engineer at Capitol Records for a long time before he passed away. And anything that you can buy that Al engineered, which is a lot of Diana Krall's work, who's another great artist. Anything you can find that Al did is first rate. He's got a number of Grammy awards for his engineering. So hope you can find something in all of this mess, and have a Merry Christmas.